What's up, Summoners? King Blair here. For today's Epic 7 Worth It, we're actually going to be talking about all the heroes that you should be saving for this month. Now, Smilegate doesn't usually do this, but they actually gave us an outlook for like the next month of the units that are going to be getting reruns, so we can actually better plan how we're going to be spending our bookmarks. So what we're going to be talking to you guys today is letting you guys know the units, my recommendations on them, who should be saving for, as well as just knowing who is going to be coming next, and going over some of the units kits. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord server, link in the description. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Since this time we're actually doing just an overview of all the units, for the next upcoming one, since I do have all the units, I will do showcases on Thursdays instead of the Worth It's, so that way you also get to see the units in action. So I will likely do Tamarine later on, but let's actually see the units that are coming in the future so you guys are aware of. And if you want to know where this information is coming from, it's from the Epic 7 live stream. So as we know, we have Tamar right now, who we'll talk about in a second. We have Ken. We have Tenebria getting a rerun, and we all, at the same time that she's getting a rerun, we will have Luna getting a rerun, and right at the middle of Luna's rerun, we will be getting Landy's rerun, right? So there's a lot of really big reruns, and there's 2 limited units getting a huge rerun, so it is important that we talk about of all the different things that you do need to be saving up for. So with that, let's first summarize all of the units so you can get a better idea on who I think you should be going for. So first, Tamarine, she's the one that has the banner right now. As you guys know, she is the queen of PvE. She's arguably the best PvE unit that we have in this game, and it is a very valuable unit to have. The only thing though that I do have to point out is she is not limited, and there is a limited unit you should really be saving for, which is going to be Landy. So while I do think that if you have the resources to pull for her, she's an amazing pickup, especially if you're early game, because she really will make your life in PvE significantly easier. But again, I can't with good conscience tell you for sure pull for her, because those 2 limited heroes are just around the corner. So you have to make sure you have enough resources to pull her and the 2 limited heroes, but particularly the Landy one, that's the most important one. So I would put her at pretty good priority. If you have extra summons, I would definitely go for her, but again, she's not limited. Ideally, you got her from a selector, but it does suck that they are putting her banner right after a massive set of a bunch of new limited heroes, and right before some really big limited hero reruns. So with that, the next week is going to, the other unit that's this week is going to be Ken. For Ken, I most likely will say skip. He does not really see any play in RTA, in PvP, or even in PvE, except for maybe Golem. So unless you really like Ken, I would honestly tell you to save, especially because the limited heroes are right around the corner. So just a heads up for Ken. That yes, that is the case. Tenebria, again, same thing. She only really works for Earth Expedition and for some fun teams in PvP. She doesn't really have any big PvP viability. I know she's a waifu, and I know people are going to want to pull for her, but she really has not made a big impact in the recent metas, especially with things like Amelia being so popular now. It is very hard for her to actually do her job properly when there's a hero that is cycling and cleansing, right? And things like even like Maid Chloe, right? So yeah, that is going to be that. And then we have the first limited rerun, who is going to be Luna, who most recently got her buff. She's actually a really good PvE unit. A lot of people don't give her credit for how good she can actually be in Fire Expedition, as well as also being viable for things like Wyvern. The other thing is that she did recently get buffed for PvP, and her cleave potential, or her aggro team potential, is actually really good right now. And I have been testing her more also as a bruiser, and she does seem to actually do her job pretty decent as a bruiser. The thing is that she does come with Draco Plate, which is going to be one of the best warrior artifacts that you have access to aside from Sacred Scythe. So it's something that you definitely want to have powders for, because it is a very good artifact, right? You want to make sure you at least get 1 copy with the powders. And if you're pulling for Luna, really great artifact, really good. It does a lot for the unit. So again, she's a limited hero, and with all limited heroes, you want to make sure you at least have 1 copy, because they're going to be strong for a long time, and you're not going to be able to have access to them. And I know a lot of people probably started playing Epic 7 because of Luna, right? So it's definitely something that I know a lot of people will be pulling for her, and I highly do recommend that you do pull for her. But the one that you have to guarantee yourself you pull for is going to be none other than Landy. You want to get a Landy on your account. I cannot stress this enough. Landy is one of the best units in this game, and she's a limited unit. Not only is she a top tier DPS for Guild War, for RTA, she's a top tier DPS for Arena. She's a top tier defense unit for Guild Wars. She's a top tier offense unit in Guild Wars. And on top of all that, she has a really strong PvE presence, being amazing in Asimec Hunt, being amazing in Dark Expedition, being amazing in Water Expedition, right? She's able to play in so many different situations that it's something that you want to have this unit. She has been very relevant for a long time, and none of the new units that have been released really stop her. So for sure, from the time of making this video, again, there could be another something that happens in between, but right now she is like an incredible unit, and she is limited. You will not have access to her for potentially another year, right? So whereas things like Tamarine, yes, Tamarine is just incredibly powerful, and if you have the resources I would pull, make sure that you're not using all your resources that you're not able to pull for Landy, because both of them will help progress your account a lot. But whereas Tamarine is going to be something that you can pull regularly, Landy is not. She's limited. You don't want to miss out on this unit, right? And there, you can actually get pretty far in Epic 7 PvE without Tamarine. It's just a little bit more units, right? So it's something that if you're an early game player, Tamarine is very, very attractive to pull for, because she is just a really, really good unit. And we've talked about her a lot in the past. But again, it's something that you really want to have the resources ready for Landy and for Luna, because again, both of these are limited, but for sure for Landy, right? She's the unit you're really saving for. You want to have a copy of her. If you have extra units, I would honestly recommend Tamarine as a good option. She's almost the same priority level as Luna, because while Luna is limited, we already know what she does, whereas, and she does help a lot, but Tamarine is the queen of PvE, right? So again, they're kind of almost the same priority, but the only thing is Luna is limited, so keep that in mind. But Tamarine is really, really good for helping progress an account, especially if you're early game. If you're late game and you already have all your teams built, you don't really need a Tama. Just pull for both of the limiteds. But yeah, that's going to be it as far as my recommendations for these different heroes. Now, to talk really briefly about each of their kits and what they're good for, so you get a very good idea. I will talk more specific about the units kits when we get to it. Such as Tamarine, but I feel like we recently just did a massive talk on Tamarine, and we've talked about her all the time. So I will not go into the actual skills. I will just talk over her. But basically, she's going to be your classic support. She's dummy easy to build, because all she needs to have is HP, speed, like 200 speed, like 15k HP or so, even less is fine. Around 200 speed, like 65 effectiveness, so she's able to land her strip on the bosses. And as much defense as whatever, right? If you're over 1k, it's probably okay. Everything else is just as you need, right? So dummy easy unit to build, just destroys all PvE content. If you have her, PvE becomes significantly easier, because you use her in almost every single PvE content except for Wyvern, right? So she really helps early game players, or if you're really stuck in an abyss stage, she will help you get out of that abyss stage. There's only like 5 or 10 abyss stages that you do not use Tama, right? That's how big she is, right? That's how strong she is. And then like all raid, you use her. Almost all PvE content, you're going to be using her, which is why she's something you want to consider. But again, make sure you have summons for Landy, because she is limited. Tamarine is not, right? And Landy will also help progress your account later on in the game a lot more. So again, just keep that in mind. And then of course, if you're also trying to go for Luna, who's also another limited hero, again, you're probably going to want to maybe consider skipping Tamarine, because Luna is a very fun unit to play with and has a very solid PvE presence as well. And she's limited, right? And you should always try to keep one copy of the limiteds, because it takes a very long time for them to get their reruns. But again, for early game players, it is a very hard decision between Tamarine and Luna, right? Because both help you, but Tamarine will help you more early game. Luna's more of a fun waifu unit that you can have a lot of fun with. So again, that's my recommendation for the Tamarine. I'm not going to talk too much in depth about his kit, because it's just a skip. He really doesn't have a lot going for him. All his skills are single target. He can actually stun, and when he gets Vigor, his decreased defense is actually 100%, right? Because he ignores Ephraim, kind of like Rem, right? When Rem has demon mode, that's what you get when you get Vigor. But the reason why he's not played that often is because he's overall quote-unquote slow, since it takes you 2 to 3 rotations to actually reach your S3. And a lot of the times, if the Landy stealth it because of Guiding Light, or if the Stene, you can't really reach them. You can definitely use them to crack some very tanky team compositions, because if you soul burn this skill, you can one-shot a lot of things in this game. But overall, it's just, he's relatively slow. There's better DPSs, like a Charlotte is just able to do a lot more damage. There's also a lot of really big water units right now, such as, you know, Rem, who is very, very popular, that he's not going to be able to hit properly. So not the best look for Ken, not the best meta. If you like him, you can definitely pull for him, but I don't recommend it with all the units that we know are coming. As far as Luna, she is a single target goddess in terms of damage for PvE because of this skill, although it is random, right? That's the big thing with it. It is random. But with her EE, she can actually get CR push, which is why she's so good for Fire Expedition. Her stat line is really nice because of this passive. You just get free stats. It's really easy to get her to 100% crit. It's really easy to get her to be decently bulky. And of course, the S3 is able to hit with the elemental advantage, so you can actually hit earth units with this. You can actually penetrate that defense by 50. So she does dummy single target damage, and the thing about it is all her damage is going to be without debuffs, which makes her really attractive for hard raid, since things like Jubilee Court you can't land debuffs on, right? So things like that she's really good in, because you can just turn off the skills and you'll do tons of damage with this S1, as well as cycling your skills. And it's overall a really solid unit, right? And she also generates a lot of souls for PvP. You can give her the EE that gives you an extra turn. You can put her in a pseudo cleave, right, or in an aggro team. She comes in, she one-shots that unit, she gets an extra turn with her EE. It doesn't say here, but her exclusive equipment gives an extra turn. You get 10 souls, because when you kill, you get 10 souls, because this skill gives you 5 souls, and the kill will give you another 5. And you're able to soul burn and hit this skill, which also has dummy high multiplier when you hit with the highest number of hits, right? So again, really good single target damage, really good in aggressive team. Also does have potential as a bruiser because of how good her passive is as keeping her alive. And just overall, just a solid kid, right? Which is why it's a really solid option to pick up. You will definitely be able to use her in both PvE and PvP. And it's something that she's a waifu too, right? And everyone started playing the game because of her. The only thing is she won't help progress your account as much as a Tamarine, right? But at the same time, she is a limited hero, which means that you want to have at least one copy of her ideally, because it's going to take at least a year. And you may get to a point where you really want a Luna and you're not going to be able to ever pull for her because you have to wait until the next banner, right? Whereas Tamarine gets like 3 banners every year, right? Tamarine probably is the most re-rain unit. Smoggett tends to rerun Tamarine right before any big events, so that's why you see the Tamarine rerun. It's like every 4 months before a limited, they will also drop Tamarine. It's pretty crazy how many banners she actually gets in a year. But then, last but definitely not least, we have the Landy, who this unit is just advantage, and she's the best PvP unit right now, an incredible PvE as well. So the S1 is very basic in what it does. It gives you fighting spirit. The amount of fighting spirit is doubled when you hit a buffed enemy, which means you get 30% fighting spirit if you hit a buffed enemy. You also get a nice little CR push, which again is going to be really, really nice, right? Because you get to cycle more with Landy, and you get to cycle 30%, I believe, whenever you have combat range is increased. Yeah, it's doubled. So you get 30% when you hit a buffed ally, which allows you to cycle like crazy. The other thing, the cycling also is going to show because of the stacks. You get free attack every time you take a turn. You get free stacks of attack, right? For three max stacks, right? That's really nice. That's a lot of attack. That's the reason why Landy does so much freaking damage, is because of this passive. The other thing is that if the opponent has buffs, you also get fighting spirit for every buff that they have. And when you get to max stacks, you reset your S3 and it becomes an enhanced skill, right? And then the S3, the reason she's so good is this skill. It's an AoE attack that gives everyone speed buff, which just gives you so much advantage, so much cycling, as we mentioned with the S1. With this S3, you also get to penetrate defense by 50%, allowing you to destroy tanky teams, right? And the skill does not trigger counterattacks. You don't have to get worried about a Ram countering. You don't have to worry about Violet. You don't have to worry about a lot of units counterattacking on you, because this skill will not trigger it. So you're able to do dummy AoE damage because you're getting a bunch of attack from this. You're penetrating defense. You're getting everyone's speed buff, and you're getting a CR push, right? All really, really good. And if the opponent has a lot of buffs, you're going to be cycling this skill every 3 turns. It just ends up being so much AoE damage and so much advantage from the speed buff that the opponent usually loses the game, right? Which is why she's so good in Arena, because Fallen Cecilia is very common. So you will get to do this S3 almost every turn, if not every other turn. And then, of course, since she is a ranger, you do get access to things like Guiding Light, which allow you to actually not be hit by single target skills unless they hit you with an AoE first, since you do gain stealth, right? Which makes it extremely annoying to actually take out. And she has relatively good tank stats and doesn't need that much damage stats, right? Like a 3000 attack, 250 crit damage is more than enough to be a tanky booster team, right? And then the health and defense, you just make her last for as long as possible. You let her cycle, get her stealth up, make it hard for the opponent to take out, and just slowly but surely kill your opponent through advantage and through high damage that you're doing with the AoE. Landy, by far, is a unit that you're saving for because she literally does everything. But that is going to be all for this video, and just a breakdown of all the different units and what they do. And hopefully this helps you better gauge what you actually want to try to go for when those banners go, and you can actually more effectively save your bookmarks. I will be doing showcases on all of them as they come out, except for Tamarine and Ken, because honestly, Tamarine's everywhere. She's just a queen, right? Just take my word for it. She's extremely good. And for Ken, I don't have them build. But for Landy and Luna and for Tenebria, I will try to make a showcase for them so you can decide if you really want to use them. But that is going to be all I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.